Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
I want to ask you a question.
Shoot.
Would you date a black woman, or are you attracted to black women?
Yeah, I totally would.
Now, none of these questions have a wrong answer.
I find almost any girl of any ethnicity attractive. I mean, it's a good personality, good looking, smile and all that. I don't care about skin color.
All right, let's go rapid fire here.
As long as it's not a guy.
Asian.
Yeah.
Handicapped.
Yeah. How handicapped?
Her legs don't work and her pussy's mostly numb and she uses a piss bag.
No.
Mildly mentally challenged, but not to the point where she's legally recognized as being developmentally disabled. Would you date an autistic woman?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
There's no I guess. You used to be married to one. See what I did there?
Well, I didn't know at the time.
Right. What about if you're dating a woman?
Okay.
Everything's going great. You get to the point where you guys are going to be intimate for the first time.
Okay.
And she says, hold on, I want to talk to you about something.
It better not be I used to have a penis.
I was born a man.
Oh, God.
I have not yet had the surgery. Everything about this woman seemed perfect until you found out she had a winky.
Sorry.
And she intends to have the surgery.
This just isn't for me. Sorry, I'm done. Don't care how hot you are. No. I can't do it.
What about if I told you were a transphobe? Just for that statement.
Oh, well. Sorry, not every boat floats the same person, or whatever you want to fucking say it. Some people get off on that shit. I don't.
Well, there's this alarming, and I'll dare to say the word disturbing trend of far left-wing bleeding heart crazy asses who insist that if you refuse to date a trans person, you're transphobic.
You got to be kidding me.
Well, I believe you've heard me say this before, but that's all the left has is insulting people they disagree with. Or actually, people that disagree with them. They're all open for other views as long as it's the same as theirs.
Well, you could technically make the same argument about extreme right-wing white supremacists.
You could. You totally could.
If you don't believe the same things I believe, then fuck you, you mud-skinned, no-Jesus-loving piece of Muslim shit.
Who do you hear doing the most name-calling? I mean, yeah, you got those far-right ringers. Fuck them gays, fuck them niggas. I mean, you hear that, but you don't hear that constantly. I constantly hear the left say, you're transphobe, you're misogynistic, you're anti-gay, you're anti... It's like, okay, so I disagree with you on one thing, and I'm every anti-thing ever on the planet?
Yeah. That's
eventually,
like,
it's not going to have any meaning.
If you're going to refuse to date a woman who's mentally disabled, someone's going to say, what do you have against feminists? You can't see it through the microphone, but I'm smiling. That's a joke.
That's funny.
So, as I said, there's a segment of the population who feels that it's transphobic to refuse to date trans people. And the problem is, and I don't see how they can't come to this very logical conclusion that any sane and reasonable person would understand, is that personal preference is not the same thing as prejudice.
Yeah.
If I say I'm not going to fuck fat broads, it's because I'm not attracted to them, not because I'm discriminating against them for being fat. You could say, well, you are discriminating against them. You're not taking the time to get to know them and consider them because you're not sexually attracted to them. Well, I'm sorry, but in my DNA is ingrained the natural human biogenetic coding that makes me want to look for the most fit mate. Whether I recognize it, you could have a wonderful personality and you could have a pretty face like Adie Bryant, but be built like Adie Bryant. She was on SNL last few years. You wouldn't know because you don't watch. Adie Bryant is a large woman. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't fuck her because she's fat, but I'm saying that logistically, we're not going to have great sexual chemistry because she's not going to be getting on
That
top.
sounds like me and one of my old friends. I mean, like, we got along great. She had good personality and everything, but she was a rectangle. And I was not physically attracted to
rectangle?
it. She broad shoulders, straight down, you know.
Jesus.
You know what I'm talking about.
I guess I do now.
Like,
I mean, it seems very
She-
Sesame
she's
Street-esque, and it's, I'm a square, I'm a rectangle, I'm a stop sign,
okay, wait.
I love gays. Wait a minute.
But, like, I was in no way, shape, or form really sexually attracted to her. But, I mean, I loved hanging out with her. She was a lot of fun to be around.
Well, it's the same thing if you won't fuck someone of color. They could say, well, you're racist. Well, no, I'm just not into it. I don't know why. You could sit there and try to wrap your mind around it. There's a difference between saying, I would never be a race traitor and go with one of those goddamn disgusting darkies, which is the least offensive term they typically use.
You dick!
Many of them rhyme with igger or oon or orch monkey.
For life.
Yeah,
It's okay, dude. I'm taking it back.
right. Once again, you could say, well, I'm not going to fuck old ladies. Well, you're ageist.
Yeah.
I'm not going to date grandmas, even though they have lots of love to give and they're lonely and they make awesome cookies and they have no one to leave their money to. I'm not going to do it because odds are during coitus, she's going to break her hip.
It's a very real possibility.
Now, go back to the hypothetical of you dating a woman and finding out that she was born a man, is trans. All the kissing you did, all the heavy petting prior to going down the skirt and coming up with a handful of balls. And I did an episode a long time ago about how I feel like it's lying to someone. It's false advertising and it's very dishonest and it's actually hurtful to not admit you're trans. I get it. You want to be accepted for who you are. But by not telling the truth, you're betraying the trust of the person you're with by not saying, by the way, I was born a man. By the way, I was born a woman. Like, I recently met this person who has a guy's name. Guy's facial hair. Tattoos like you would see on a lot of guys. Not built like a guy. Doesn't sound like a guy. Underneath that facial hair looks like a very effeminate face. And I went, fuck. I want to ask. But I didn't ask. But that's natural human curiosity. I wasn't sizing this person up to see if, well, do you have a vagina? As a human being, you see things that don't make sense, and you want to know more.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that stupid internet sensation like 2-3 years ago. Was this dress blue and white or is it gold and black? Whatever the fuck it was, I don't know. You remember that?
Yeah, wasn't it like blue and gold or blue and white or something?
Somebody saw one thing, other people saw the opposite. Some of the decisions were influenced by the fact that they knew that they were getting involved in this, like, I'm going to pick a side versus, a double-blind study of what you're getting involved in. So if it's transphobic to not want to date a trans person, why are you then placing the feelings and integrity of one person over the other? If all of this liberal PC bullshit is about gender equality and orientation acceptance and eliminating people who see color, you're lying to the other person. And relationships are built on trust. So how are you going to have any meaningful interactions or relationships? And yeah, you're going to get hurt. If you're a trans person, and I'm not saying boo-hoo, I'm not at all. It's got to be fucking miserable to grow up in a body you feel is wrong, to the point where you're willing to have surgery to change it to fit what you feel on the inside to look on the outside. That's a lot of courage. That's a lot of commitment. And it's scary to think that there's people that do all that and then eventually go, uh-oh, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I missed my dick. I mean, I've just got this weird vagina. With
Are there
no
really
clit.
people out there that have that? Really?
Okay, well,
I haven't heard any stories.
You
so.
have no idea who Jazz Jennings is.
Nope.
Jazz Jennings is one of the most famous trans people on the fucking planet.
I thought it was RuPaul.
Crossdresser.
Ah.
Different.
Okay.
Different. I mean, and this is a new term. It was a sex change. Then it was called gender reassignment. Now there's people calling it gender confirmation surgery.
Yeah, they just want it to... it's just changing the terminology to fit what they want it to fit, kind of like global warming.
Well, Jazz Jennings is a trans activist.
What trans person isn't
she
an activist?
is only 19. I would argue that Riley Dennis isn't an activist. Riley Dennis is like a fucking shock jock, basically, who just throws out. Riley Dennis used to be Justin, but now it's Riley, and he's the one with. I'm sorry, she's the one, or they are the one that use the terms male penis and female vagina, and how he is now a she, but is a lesbian, so he could still date his old girlfriend. So he puts his male...
So you're not really a girl then. You still like chicks.
He puts his female penis in her female vagina. Yeah, anyways. Jazz Jennings, 19.
See, that guy's got a fucking problem.
19.
Yeah.
Jazz Jennings has been living this shit almost her entire life. She's 19, and she's had gender confirmation surgery, a.k.a. gender reassignment surgery. Yeah. Now, there's people that are like, good for her for, living as she would. Jazz Jennings shows off scars from gender confirmation surgery in swimsuit photo.
Let's see it.
It's just there's like thigh scars.
Okay. Like, are they horrendous, or is it just like light scars?
I don't know. They're light scars. You can see them in the swimsuit. That's not the point. This is a child whose parents let him live as her because that's how she felt she was, born in the wrong body. And there's this whole other argument that it's one thing to let a child become an adult and pursue all this. But it's another thing to let a child who doesn't have the maturity to really see the gravity of the situation start taking hormone blockers before puberty so that they can appear more effeminate towards the end of the race. Changing your gender is a marathon, not a sprint. And Jazz Jennings, and I'm totally cool with Jazz Jennings, but this is an example that she is in the limelight. As soon as he decided that he wanted to be a she, it was like huge fucking news, and there was been documentaries about this kid.
Basically made a living out of his sex change.
Yes and no.
They pay you for that stuff.
They do, but it was more like, this is my story, and I want other people to know how I felt, what I thought, how I came to conclusions.
Now pay me for that interview.
Everything about Jazz Jennings has been done the right way. It's not like Riley Dennis, who goes on YouTube and does 97 takes of a single fucking rant, and each time he does it, he gets more amped up like he's on cocaine. He's ripping through the information so fast. I mean, equally as trans, but hasn't had his female penis removed yet. And probably doesn't intend to, because he knows, she knows, they know, that if they get their dick chopped, there's no going back to that shit. It's not like Mr. Potato Head. You don't just take the pipe out of the mouth and put the smiley teeth back in and everything's back to status quo. So anyways, you meet this kid, or your kid meets this kid. Your kid decides wants to date Jazz Jennings or somebody like Jazz Jennings. And then you find out that she used to be a he. Do you speak up, or do you let your kid, your son in this instance, decide for themselves?
It has to be where they decide for themselves. I would say you are aware that used to be a guy, right? Just saying, just so you know, that is a guy. I mean, yeah, had all those changes, did everything the way, quote, you're supposed to, but at one point in time, that was a guy. Yeah, which I've been actually sitting here contemplating. Like, what if it came to a situation where, like the hypothetical at the beginning here, how would it react if I was getting hot and heavy with this girl, and this girl's always just like, telling me that they're in the middle of a transgender and they still have their penis, just like, I just been thinking about it. I honestly, it's something where I probably wouldn't know until I'm put in a situation, but my gut instinct's telling me I'm not going to take it too well.
Well,
I'm not going to get mad and blow up at him. I'm just going to be like, I'm sorry, this isn't a relationship for me.
Perfectly acceptable reaction.
Well, if you're comedian Jim Norton, you take one for the team because you care about the person, and you suck their dick a little. And then as the punchline goes, you spend a half an hour the next morning brushing your teeth while screaming faggot at yourself into the mirror.
That's actually, if it was Ace Ventura would have just plundering his mouth and brushing his teeth and burns his clothes.
Well, did you watch Sons of Anarchy?
No.
Okay. The character of Tig is one of the most senior members of the gang.
Was he in season 1?
He was in all of them. Kim Coates, black hair, goatee, was Clay Morrow's right-hand man. He was the
kind of bug-eyed?
Yeah, a little bit.
And he was the one responsible for the dead hooker in the first episode?
Yes.
Okay, yep, I know who you're talking about.
Yep. Okay. Further in the series, there's a character played by Walton Goggins. Fucking love Walton Goggins. He was on Justified. He played Boyd Crowder. I take it you didn't watch Justified.
Nope.
Right there, middle finger. Fuck you. Justified, I promise you, if you watch it, you will not regret it. It's one of the greatest television shows ever made.
What's it about?
It's about U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens and his cases and his life.
Okay.
Anyways, Walton Goggins plays a transgender prostitute named Venus. Well, Tig, for some reason, becomes romantically involved with Venus. And Tig says, he's like, really, you can see, he's intrigued.
Is this a chick?
This is a guy who's now living as a chick.
In the show?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's clearly a dude. Clearly.
Okay.
Not just because I know the actor. All they did was put a long-haired wig on her and some fake tits. Like Hollywood fake tits.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to have real face. Anyway, Tig gets involved with Venus. He overlooks the fact that she is still a he. And then he fucks her in the ass. He only fucks her in the ass. And there's an episode that starts off with what they call the fucktage of various couples in the series having sex. One of them involves Marilyn Manson's character of Ronald Tully butt-fucking the character of Juice, Theo Rossi's character, while in prison. You don't see the anal penetration, but you know what's going on. Anyways.
Well, yeah,
that's a wonderful pop culture representation of what it's like to be involved in a relationship with someone who's trans and accept them for who they are now, not who they've been.
Okay, so you're making a case for this is okay, or that I should be acceptable of this person?
I don't want to buy into the fanaticism that we live in today, where everything's polar extremes. There's never any nuance anymore or proportionality. You know, if I don't want to date a trans person because she has a dick still, it should be perfectly acceptable, society-wide, and no amount of dressing up any dude like a chick, no matter how beautiful she now looks, if there's a fucking dick, am I going to be interested? I'm not just going to cornhole you. I want to feel a pussy. And your asshole doesn't naturally lubricate itself, and neither will a surgically grafted vagina.
And sometimes I like to look into the face of the person I'm fucking.
Yeah.
You can't do that when it's always a cornhole.
And not go, shit, her 5 o'clock shadow's poking to the makeup.
It's rubbing.
Yeah, see?
It's scratching my mustache.
But like, if I don't want to be romantically involved with somebody who's 3 decades older than me, no one should say, you're an ageist. How could you do that? Just because of her advanced age, you don't want to be involved. Well, yeah. We have nothing in common.
She's fucking 70.
She's old. She's been through menopause. So, yeah, she can't get pregnant, but she also can't get wet anymore. So, I mean, really, who wants to be the last kid to get the hand-me-down station wagon? Nobody.
No way.
Nobody wants to fuck a leather ham wallet. Because there's no au jus in there. You have to put the au jus in there. Are you getting the Arby's visual of the old vagina? Plus,
Picturing a roast beef sandwich, yeah.
Plus, old broads, they wear weird perfumes. They smell a bit.
Yeah, what's with the fucking perfume that smells like formaldehyde?
I don't know. So, I only know one trans person. I'm not going to name names. I told them, anonymity. I asked them about the gender confirmation thing, and they go, so it's probably a more appropriate term, but I'm not every trans person. They're willing to give me answers, but they're also like, man, I'm the only trans person that a lot of people know, and I get hit with this shit all the time. Just like, go meet some other trans people. Did you just go out there and put like a fucking Craigslist ad, like, looking for trans people to befriend. I don't know enough of you. I want you to know you're not alone. Maybe that might get you. But if you go looking for trans friends to tick off boxes on checklist of social connections, nobody wants to be the token trans. I'm not okay with this blanket transphobic mindset that just because you won't get involved with somebody that it's not your preference. Like if somebody tried to force you to play tennis and you're like, this game is fucking stupid.
But I like racquetball. Well, it kind of applies, doesn't it?
Well, if you like golf and someone's like, would you ever play tennis? No, I don't like tennis. How fucking dare you? Like, subtract trans and change the terms.
Yeah.
Like, oh, do you want to go to this Indian restaurant? No, I don't like spicy food. How fucking dare you not like Indian food because it's spicy?
I wouldn't even get the hot sauce at Taco Bell.
Right. So it should be socially acceptable to like what you like. So as soon as I read that there's people making a shit ton of fervor over this, I just thought, God damn it, can we ever just have a day where we're not raging about somebody's inability to comprehend everything as being okay? Because they'll say, you should accept everyone. What about the people that want to fuck kids? Well, that's not okay. You said everybody. Well, obviously that's an extreme example, and logically you're just saying that. It's a straw man argument. You're just trying to make me look bad.
No.
Well, that's no different than if I say, I don't want to fuck a chick with a dick, and I don't want a chick with a dick to try to fuck me back. I mean, sure, it takes a man to know what a man likes, but that doesn't mean I'm looking to go exploring.
Yeah.
Your female penis is the boulder in my temple of doom. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show for the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
And that's the end.